This week in East Brunswick, Dunham's Corner Road was jammed with runners as over 1,000 gathered to compete in the annual 10K run. First off, we'll meet the race director and learn more about East Brunswick's largest annual sporting event. Later, we'll talk with local sculptor Edmund Spiro and see some of his work currently on display at the library. Sharon K will interview Bob Nemser, our newest Channel 8 host, and find out more about his upcoming This Week photography series, Quick Clicks. Our regular segments will include Ken Shalhoop's Health Facts and a closer look at heart disease, Adrian Eisner with timely advice on purchasing electric heaters, and our Township Council review. All this will follow on This Week in East Brunswick, but first here's a look at next week's Channel 8 schedule. Monday morning at 10 a.m., Lenore Kulik will have a fitness fashion show on Look Great, Feel Great. Next at 10:30, it's Paula Durant and Target, this week focusing on the National Council of Christians and Jews with Nancy Lown Young. Tuesday evening at 7, Check It Out comes to you from the libraries of Middlesex County, followed by Sports Talk with John Megliero at 7:30. Wednesday at 3, it's Stories from the Library with Claudia Homoki. Then at 7:30 that evening, For Art's Sake with Dolly Vasta previews Playhouse 22's current production, Godspell. And we'll be back next Thursday with more local news and information on This Week in East Brunswick.
Last Sunday, East Brunswick's largest annual sporting event, the 10K Run, took place at the Brookview Firehouse on Dunham's Corner Road. Over 650 local and out-of-town runners came to compete in the race. Before the start of the race, we had a chance to speak with its coordinator, John Reisert.
Hi, my name is John Reisert. I'm race director of the East Brunswick 10K. This is October the 13th, and we'll be getting ready to start in about half hour with the 10K. It's a 6.2 run, which is co-sponsored by the East Brunswick Social Runners and the Parks Department of the East Brunswick Township. And we have about 650 runners registered here today. We still have post-registration, and people are still arriving. I'd like to acknowledge some of the sponsors who have helped us put this on here today. And they are Raritan Valley Savings and Loan, DAC Foods, ITT Continental Bakery, Blackstone, Converse, and LJ Smith Farms. A race like this is not put on by one or two individuals. There are groups of people that actually put together this race. In the township, we have the Parks Department, which Tom Schuster and Lee Gerhardt are contributing tremendously to get this race put on. Also, Karen Baroque, who helps enormously to gather all this information and coordinate with the Township Police and the East Brunswick Social Runners. We also have a race committee. A race committee, I am the race director. The race committee is Ira Hirsch, Mike Sackler, Ray Horlick, Chuck Stein, George Kelly, Phyllis Zettler, Ray Byer, and of course many individuals who have come today. We have approximately 100 volunteers who have helped us on this race. I'd like to also have special thanks for the Brookview Fire Company, the East Brunswick baseball managers, and also the East Brunswick Traffic Safety who have helped us put this race on.
John, if it rains today, are we still going to race?
We're running rain or shine.
All right.
"32.5 minutes later, we had a winner. Jim Flynn from Milltown, New Jersey. The other winners and times are as follows. From time to time, local artists get a chance to display their works at the library. On display now are the wood sculptures of Edmund Spiro, an East Brunswick resident. We had the pleasure to go to his home and to speak with him and to see him working on his latest project.
I chose this medium actually in selecting, first I began in painting, and then trying different media, I found that wood somehow harmonized with my well-being. I was like a true fish in water with the medium of wood.
Do you also do works in other mediums?
I do painting. As I said, I started painting, and occasionally I must get back to painting to break up the tension and anxieties that I feel in the sculpture many a time. I also need the color, I need the line on canvas, and I feel very comfortable coming back to sculpture after painting. My 3 dimensions in the sculpture, they are actually in line, in composition, in design. I was always strongest in design. And I like the volume that I work with. If you look at my sculptures, you will see that most attraction lies in the line and the juxtaposition of the curve, the sharp line versus the smooth line, and the textures. If you look at the textures in my sculptures, they always contrast.
About how long would it take you to finish a product like that one?
Well, normally there is nothing less than 50 hours in sculpting and finishing, and sometimes I run into 200 hours. Especially the finishing process is very tedious and very long. But I feel that the most important part in creating my sculpture is the process of really carving out and chiseling away to the idea and the designs that I make about 100 and 200 sketches of. Then the excitement subsides and the finishing and the tedious work begins. So there are really 3 parts to my sculpting. The first one is sketching, and I never attempt a sculpture unless I find the sense of excitement about the sketch. Then, of course, the piece of wood. The third process is the finishing. And hopefully, the selling is also a very tedious process. I usually study the piece of art without a title. When I attempt the piece of art, I am so engrossed in the design and the process of it that I do not think of a title. I do not say I'm going to create a human form or an abstract form or a bird form. I work at it as a design, and then when it's finished, I study it and I give it a title, because somehow people demand titles. I go to different shows and they always say, "What is it?" So I say, "Okay, give them a title and let them dwell on it."
And where can we see some of your art being exhibited?
Well, right now I have at the East Brunswick Library, there's a large exhibit of my work. There are 13 pieces, small and large. I also have an unfinished piece of work at Cornelius Lowe Museum in Piscataway. I also have a piece of work in Sayreville Library that was purchased by the Arts Commission as a permanent collection. I have pieces in many commercial establishments and private collections. My most recent piece is right here. After completing it, I titled it "The Dual Spirit of Man." And it really has 2 expressions and 2 spirits. As you can see, this side of it is a biblical, spiritual feeling of uplifting and textural that go with almost like a Moses beard and commandments, and here's like the universe itself. While the other side is jaggedy, triangular edges which portray pain, and the expression on this spirit of man is full of pain, and he lifts up his arms and he is crying out from the anguish of man. And this is a very closely related piece to me personally, that I feel this dual spirit in me. That's why this piece is important.
Hi, I'm Sharon K for This Week in East Brunswick. With me today is Bob Nemser, the host of our newest This Week in East Brunswick feature. Bob will be hosting Quick Clicks, a new This Week feature for photographers. Bob works as an art director in New York and is past president of the Art Directors Club in New Jersey. He is currently associate chairman of the ADCNJ's President's Council and has won several of the club's yearly awards for his annual reports and picture books, not to mention an award for designing the library's own logo. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here today. One of Bob's most notable books was on President Gerald Ford's first 100 days in office. Here he is shown presenting a copy to the president. Bob also worked with Mario Puzo on a book about casino life called Inside Las Vegas. He works with camera clubs both as a judge and a lecturer, so he'll be an eminently qualified host for our new show, Quick Clicks. Let's talk a bit about your interest in photography, Bob. Where did it begin and how has it grown?
Well, since I was a little boy, I was always interested in photography. When I graduated from high school, my father had got me a movie camera and a projector. And as I got into the art field, I used to do a lot of book jacket design, which would incorporate photography and design. And I was always looking for a photographer that would photograph just the way that I wanted it to be photographed. And it was always a problem because it was harder for me to convey to them what I wanted rather than do it myself. So I bought a camera and did the whole project by myself. I photographed it and designed it. And that started me on sort of a dual kind of career as designer and photographer.
Are there particular types of photography that you prefer? Subject matter that's a favorite?
I sort of like the interchange of mingling with people and the outdoors. So I guess it's what they call reportage, which is as opposed to being in the studio and photographing inanimate objects, I like to walk around and talk to people and do reportage photography outdoors.
What made you decide to get involved with Channel 8 and do Quick Clicks?
Over the past, I guess it's 10 or 12 years, I've been a guest judge and lecturer at different camera clubs in the tri-state area. And I decided that I would like to share some of my experiences and knowledge with people in my community about photography.
What would you say the focus of the series is going to be? Is it aimed toward any photographers at particular levels?
Well, it's aimed at photographers of all levels, and I guess the underlying theme is having fun doing something that you like. And I'm not going to be talking about the dark room because I personally don't believe in being cooped up in a dark room by yourself. I believe, again, in getting out and intermingling, whether it's with nature, whether it's with people, or whether it's with just the great outdoors itself. So it would be geared on picking up a camera and having fun.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'll have things that are appropriate for children, too?
I think so. I have some parts of the series deal with animals and zoos. I know when my children were growing up, I always used to say when we traveled around the country that, hey, we got to go to the zoo for my children, but it was really for myself. I just love photographing the animals. So there'll be things for children as well as adults.
Wonderful. Before we finish, can you give us the opportunity to see a few of your picture books?
Well, there's one here that I'm particularly proud of, and it's a book called Martin Luther King Jr., And what it is a documentary from Montgomery to Memphis. This is a picture book detailing the history of the civil rights movement and Dr. King's involvement. This was published in 1976. I'm involved with another Dr. King book, which actually is a story about his life, which will be published in time for the national holiday, which will be this January. And at a future date, I'm talking with Channel 8 about doing a 15 or a half-hour show on that subject of Martin Luther King's new book.
Terrific. Tell us, before we close, can you tell us how your design of the library logo came about?
I had read in the Sentinel that the library was looking for a designer for its logo. And I came to the library and made a presentation that I would be interested in doing the logo, being that I do that sort of thing, and this is my community, and I'm particularly interested in doing things along the lines of my profession for my community. And I was lucky enough to be selected for the project and work with the library board, and finally we agreed upon the logo that you see now that's on the library wall.
It certainly has had a very eminent history since then, of almost 10 years.
If I have a moment, I'd like to just briefly state what my thinking was in going into that logo. The basis of a library is an open book, and the face that's pictured on the open book looking outward is the looking towards the future. The letters which run together in an open typeface is the interchange of ideas and the assimilation of past, present, and future. So it's today, yesterday, and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Well, we think it's just as appropriate today as it was then, because we're always looking at tomorrow here too.
Thank you.
We thank you for being here. We look forward to the first of Quick Clicks next week on This Week in East Brunswick. I'm Sharon Karmazin. Now stay tuned for Consumer Aware.
Hello, and welcome to Consumer Aware. I'm Adrienne Eisner, Director of the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. Today we're going to be talking about the purchase of electric heaters. Today, the consumer who wishes to purchase a portable heater faces many choices in the marketplace. We will be talking about the different types of electric heaters that are now available and the safety precautions you should follow if you decide to purchase one. If used improperly, electric heaters can pose risks of fire, burns, or electric shock. There are three types of portable electric heaters: radiant, convection, and combination types. The radiant heater uses a reflective shield to direct a heat beam in a particular direction. This radiant heat warms people and objects in its path. Radiant heaters are best at spot heating or heating a small area quickly. The convection heater works by warming the surrounding air. This heated air rises and circulates throughout the room. These heaters are best at heating a large area slowly and evenly. The radiant convection models use both methods: a shield to focus the heat and a fan to help circulate the warm air. To choose the right heater for your needs, consider the size of the space to be heated, how the space will be used, and how often it will be used. The advantage of utilizing an electric heater is that it is easy to set up and there is no ventilation required. No combustion occurs inside your house. Also, for an electric heater, low maintenance is required. Let's talk about some of the safety precautions you should follow if you decide to purchase and use an electric heater. Be sure that you never use your heater near water. Water is a good conductor of electricity and increases the chances of electric shock. Never use an electric heater in a bathroom or in a damp basement. Don't touch an electric heater if your hands are wet or you have been in contact with water in any way. Unplug your heater when it is not in use. Touching an electric heater element while it's on can cause a serious burn or shock. Some heaters have electrically live elements whenever they're plugged in, regardless of whether the switch is on or not. Always unplug the heater before going to bed. Be sure that the grill protects the heating elements from children's fingers and toys. Make sure that there is a tip-over switch or a heat sensor that turns off the heater if it should fall over. Plug your heater directly into an outlet if possible. If you must use an extension cord, be sure that its electrical rating is as high as the one listed on the heater. If a fuse blows or a circuit breaker trips, unplug your heater before replacing the fuse or resetting the breaker. Don't overload your wiring. Call a professional if you have any signs of a wiring problem, such as frequently blown fuses, dim lights, hot cords, or outlets. Be sure that you take the time to read and follow the owner's manual provided by the manufacturer. Be sure that the heater has at least a 36-inch clearance from anything that can burn, such as furniture, draperies, newspapers, clothing, etc. If you have any other questions about the purchase of an electric portable heater, please contact us at the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. We're in the office Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. The telephone number is 390-6954. Please join us next week when we'll be talking about the use and care of kerosene heaters. Thank you for joining me on Consumer Aware. Hope we'll be seeing you again next week.
Hi, this is Dolly Vaster for This Week in East Brunswick, and I just wanted to remind all of you out there not to miss the joyous rock musical Godspell, opening at Playhouse 22 October 10th and running through November 10th. Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights at 8:30 and Sunday matinee at 3 o'clock. Gather up the family, friends, and come on out and join us. You'll be so happy that you did.
More on heart disease. Eat fish. Two reports in the May 9th New England Journal of Medicine say that oil from fish can prevent heart disease. The studies back up earlier findings that Greenwich Eskimos who eat a lot of fish have a low risk of heart disease despite a high-fat and high-cholesterol diet. A third NEGM article suggests that the oil may work its magic through an anti-inflammatory effect. And according to work presented at the American Federation for Clinical Research meeting this week in Washington, D.C., fish oil may also alleviate migraine headaches and rheumatoid arthritis. It seems that a type of fatty acid called omega-3, which, by the way, is found in certain leafy vegetables and certain nuts, alters the metabolic pathways in such a way that it's harder to form blood clots. Additionally, the fish oil, which is a type of polyunsaturated fat, significantly lowered both cholesterol and triglyceride levels, leading researchers to conclude that fish oils and fish may be useful treatments for high triglyceride levels. As far as migraines and rheumatoid arthritis are concerned, the fish oil seems to slow down the immune response, and rheumatoid arthritis is thought to be one of those autoimmune diseases where your body attacks itself, so that's where the benefit occurs there. And also, it seems to reduce the amount of serotonin in your bloodstream, which has a tendency to relax your blood vessels, and that helps migraines. So there's more to follow on fish that seems to have a beneficial effect in our system in many ways. Thanks for watching Health Facts.
Tuesday's Township Council meeting, an ordinance which would permit conditional use of IM industrial land in the township as a helicopter landing site was defeated by a 3-2 vote. George Searle, owner-operator of the Tower Marina, addressed the council on the issue. The ordinance would have allowed helicopters to land within 2,200 feet of township residences. Searle noted that the only such site in town was in the middle of the Edgeboro landfill, and asked who would want to land a $2 million helicopter there. After some discussion, it was decided that the ordinance did not deal with Mr. Searle's property, which is Zone C3 and not IM. He will be applying to the planning board for a heliport variance. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching.